working families across Los Angeles and beyond. From economic justice to climate action, from healthcare to housing, we're bringing together the brightest minds and most passionate advocates for real solutions and real change. With workshops, 2 major keynote addresses, and a closing reception with great music and good food. It's the Left Coast Forum, where your voice matters and your ideas take action. Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech. Brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and the LA Progressive. The future won't wait, and neither should you. Mark your calendar now to be there and be heard. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details.
Blackness. Keep on.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai, your host and White House correspondent, tapping in live from the nation's capital, where tensions are still high. I mean, why wouldn't they be? You know, with the federal government taking over the DC police and unleashing a surge of federal agents tonight on the streets of DC. We'll talk a little bit more about that later, but first things first, I'm in touch, and so you be in touch. Be sure to follow me on all the social media platforms at Dr. Nii-Quartelai. All you got to do is type in Dr. Nii-Q, D-R-N-I-I-Q, and I pop right on up, fresh for you to follow. Also, be sure to download the KBLA app to listen to us live or on demand, or just tell Alexa to play KBLA Talk 1580. Last but not least, subscribe to A More Perfect Union podcast. That way you'll never miss an episode. Now, listen, there are lots of headlines that are trending, but this hour we want to stretch out a little bit with some of the headlines in the arts and culture space and when it comes to Black employment. And then in just a little bit, I'm going to share with you my conversation with Adam Nimoy. To all you Star Trek fans out there, that's the kinfolk of the Leonard Nimoy. He has a lot to say about his relationship, complicated relationship with his iconic dad. We get into that. And then a little bit later, we're going to give you an update on Wendy Williams and zoom out a little bit and just talk about the fight around guardianship, particularly in New York. I'll give you a sense of what Governor Kathy Hochul is up to on that front. And then a little bit later, everybody's talking about the Ralph Lauren Oak Bluff campaign. Everybody's talking about the Gilded Age. So we're going to talk about Black affluence later this hour. And so that's where we're going this hour. We are so glad to have you join us in afternoon drive time. We appreciate all of you for continuing to rock with us. But now it's time for your national news roundup. It's time for you to decide the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. Kicking us off, The Guardian is reporting that Anchorage, Alaska is abuzz ahead of the Trump-Putin summit, but they say, please, please, please don't sell us back. It is set to be one of the last good summer weekends in Anchorage, Alaska, the peak of the salmon run and the middle of berry season. And residents hope that Friday's summit between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin isn't going to ruin it for them. The largest city in Alaska, Anchorage, it sits farther north than Oslo and St. Petersburg, but with a population of just under 300,000 people, it's low slung downtown. It sits on mud flats and, it's downtown shops sell Alaska native handcrafts and bear moose themed souvenirs. You know where I'm going with this? I mean, I'm just setting the scene. That's what Anchorage, Alaska is like. I've never been. I've only read about it. I did get one invitation for a visit to Alaska, but I never took up that invitation. Well, there's always the future. This is the deal. Friday Summit, it won't mark the first time the city's been the setting for high-profile diplomacy. Some of you might be old enough to remember China's president stopped off at the city in 2017, dining on king salmon and crab bisque on his way back from meeting with Trump in Florida. And 2 years later, Anchorage was the venue for a tense meeting between Chinese diplomats and officials from the Biden administration who publicly rebuked each other over human rights abuses and systemic racism. But this time around, it feels a little different. In Alaska, Russia is not an abstract enemy, but a close neighbor. Its jets buzz over Alaskan airspace. Its government is said to be undercutting Alaskan fishermen. Anchorage residents are torn between excitement over the high-profile visit and trepidation over what that might mean. And so this is going to be high stakes. Just today at the White House, the president had said that there's a 25% chance that this meeting may not go well. Now, I thought that was strange, especially for a president that, oftentimes talks up everything he does. So the fact that he's already bracing for the possibility that this meeting could go left, yes, pun intended, very quickly, at least a 25% chance it could go left. That's saying something. And so we will keep our eye on it in case there's anything noteworthy that comes out of that meeting. But in entertainment news, did y'all see that Beyonce won her first Emmy for the NFL halftime show dubbed Beyonce Bowl? Look, I knew when I was watching it over the holidays that we were watching, Beyonce in her prime. She is now officially an Emmy winner for the first time. In the first round of Emmy winners for the juried categories, it was announced by the Television Academy, and Beyonce's 2024 Christmas NFL Game Day halftime performance, dubbed Beyonce Bowl, it took home the win. And so congratulations to Beyonce on that. When we come forward, I want to share with you a conversation I had with the son of another entertainment icon. I'm talking about Leonard Nimoy from Star Trek fame. What's so compelling to me is that Adam's story is the story of a lot of guys out there who have complicated relationships with their dads. And so you don't want to miss this conversation about from the mouth, the son of a Star Trek icon. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Febreze.
It's a classic odor tale. You fried fish for dinner, cleaned up, but the smell is still in the house. And the neighbors are coming over for game night. They're on their way. And then you spray Febreze Air Mist. Febreze Air starts working instantly to fight even your toughest odors, so you go from fish to fresh like that. Now, all you have to worry about is Pam cheating at charades.
Breathe happy, Febreze. La 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 la.
Jorge, let's bring the nail gun over here.
Jose stands tall atop his sustainable flooring company.
Totally. It's renewable and moisture resistant, but we have several green options too. Or we got some beautiful reclaimed oak.
But floored by his success, he needs to hire more installers.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. Every girl deserves a chance to shine. That's the belief behind Forgiving for Living, Inc. Since 1999, this organization has been empowering at-risk girls ages 13 to 18, helping them overcome behavioral and mental health challenges. Founder Wendy Gladney's personal journey inspired the mission to give girls hope and purpose through the power of forgiveness. Through their ambassador program, workshops, and annual conference, Forgiving for Living has touched over 3,000 young lives, providing mentoring, life skills, training, and tools for building self-esteem and confidence. You can make a difference. Visit forgivingforliving.org to donate, volunteer, become a mentor, or find help for a young girl in need. Forgiving for Living, Inc., building brighter futures for young girls. Visit forgivingforliving.org today. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
We have no permanent friends or permanent enemies. Only permanent interests as we effort to build a more perfect union.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Corte, and it's not every day you get to talk to the air, to somebody who has really shaped our culture, who's shaped our imagination. I'm talking about Adam Nimoy. He is releasing his paperback edition of his memoir, The Most Human, a deeply personal and revealing new book about his father's life and legacy and humanity beyond the Vulcan ears that we all remember. I'm talking about Leonard Nimoy from Star Trek. Welcome to the show, Adam.
Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for being here, and thank you for giving all of us Trekkies a little something special. Talk to us about why now? Why did you decide to release this book, The Most Human?
Well, it's a good question. The Most Human really is a celebration of my relationship with my dad and the fact that we were able to overcome some pretty deep-seated differences between us and conflict in our relationship through the process of 12-step recovery to have a close and loving relationship the last years of our lives. Now, I'm a guy who's been in 12-step recovery and sober for the past 21 years. And I had been sharing my story, the success story of my relationship with my dad, in 12-step meetings. That's a part of what my recovery is all about. I attend these 12-step meetings. I've been sharing them anonymously. People don't know I related to Leonard Nimoy and that I'm talking about me and Mr. Spock. They don't need to know. They don't care to know. I'm talking about the fact that my dad and I had a lot of trouble relating to one another, and that it was the tools of recovery that helped us rebuild our relationship to the point where we were very close and loving the last years of his life. That was resonating with people at these meetings. They'd come up to me afterwards and say, wow, you really inspired me. I'm going to call my mom or my dad tonight and see if I can reconcile with them or another family member. And it just felt like, it's having this positive effect on people. I felt like I should just go more public with it. I've always loved writing and the process of writing. I've been a writer all my life. And I thought I should share this story with more of the general public so they can get an understanding that maybe that they can relate. It will resonate with other people, that there's hope in their relationships as well. That really is the purpose of the book, is just to try to kind of carry the message of what worked for my dad and myself.
I mean, what I love so much about the intention behind this book, you have a famous dad, some would say an iconic dad from Star Trek fame. But what I like about this is that you were willing to go there and reveal how complicated the relationship is. Everything that glitters isn't gold. Talk to us about, as a writer, how did you overcome that sixth sense that we all have to self-edit and to hold back? And, I don't want to disturb the legacy of my dad, but I also want to be honest. How did you overcome that?
Well, I overcame that by hiring an editor to help me write the book.
That'll do it.
That'll do it. I hired a woman out of New York who had a lot of experience in the publishing industry. And when we were talking over the phone, I discovered that she knew nothing about Star Trek. And that I love that right away, because I needed another perspective. I needed somebody who had a more objective, non-committal, who was not necessarily a fan of Spock and Star Trek, to give me some guidance, because it's a tightrope I'm walking. I'm dealing with Leonard Nimoy. This is a guy who's loved and adored by millions of fans internationally, all over the world. And I had to be very careful about the way I treated this material. It's sensitive material. I'm kind of going, deep into my relationship with him, and some of it was not pretty. It was very challenging and difficult. So the editor really kept me on task and on point. I mean, the point was, it's a celebration of our relationship, and that's the theme of the book. And it helped me make more obvious how much to tell and how much to leave on the editing room floor, what we needed to expand on, what stuff we could contract and not really go that deeply into. So one of the formulas that I use, and that she really helped me focus on this, to take the curse off of talking about, it's not a tell-all. I'm not airing all the dirty laundry. It is not a mommy dearest book. And the way that I'm very careful about walking the tight line is by saying that, number one, he had poor modeling from his parents. They were not demonstrative, as my dad would say. They were not warm and loving people. They were very introverted people themselves. That number one. Number two, when he came to LA, his focus was not on family. It was survival. He had nothing. Nothing. This is a guy who was hustling, odd jobs and pursuing his career in acting to try to support our family. So family was not a priority for him. And number three, and perhaps most important, I was always proud of him. Always. Even before Star Trek. I just loved that he was an actor, showing up in all my favorite TV shows in bit parts. And I think people get that there's a real reverence for my father throughout the whole book, while at the same time being honest about some of the difficulties I had with him.
I think what's also so interesting about your story is that both you and your father, Leonard Nimoy, you both battled addiction. You both had marriages that led to divorce. And you both struggled with the ninth step in your AA journey, which is making amends with each other. What advice would you offer to some of the other men out there that are listening that have complicated relationships with their dads, that have, dare I say, a father wound for a whole host of different reasons? How were you able to eventually reach that step and make amends because, it requires courage. It requires being willing to be wrong. And a lot of us don't want to be wrong.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not easy. I had a lot of good advice from people who are in recovery, in the recovery community. I was told to go make that amends to him. I didn't want to do it. The amends I made to my dad was in response to a 6-page letter he wrote me. And I talk about this in the book. My dad wrote me a nice long letter about why he was pissed off at me and why he felt that I was a screw up. It was a very unpleasant experience to receive that letter. All the mistakes I had made, all the stupid things I had said or done, all the reasons why he was disappointed and angry with me. My first inclination was to write him a 10-page letter with all of his stuff, because you had taken my inventory, we say, you take your own inventory, you don't take other people's inventory. And I was told by people I trusted in recovery to go make an amends to him with that letter, apologize to him for everything in it. Not easy to do, but the fact is I had been in recovery for 4 years by that time, and I trusted people who had more recovery than I did. Listen, my advice for other people is get into recovery. You don't have to be an alcoholic or an addict to be in recovery. Everybody's recovering from something, whether it's a strained family relationship, the loss of a loved one, the loss of a career, a failed marriage, a physical infirmity that we're recovering from. Everybody's in recovery. 12-step recovery is just the tools to use to help people deal with life on life's terms. You don't have to be alcoholic or addicted. Go to an Al-Anon meeting. Those people are not sober necessarily. Learn what the 12 steps are about. It worked for me and my dad. Without them, I never would have reconciled with my dad, never. It was not just the tools, but I had a community of people of recovery and the guidance for someone to say who I trusted, go to your old man and make the amends. It's not for him, it's for you. You got to let go of your own resentment towards him. And you're going to do it by apologizing to him and get on with your life. This is the issue that had defined my life, was dealing with my dad, the most important relationship I had. Problematic relationship and a lot of resentment that went with it. And again, and what I learned in recovery was I could accept my dad for who he was. That did not mean I approved of everything he did, because I did not approve of a lot of things he did. As a parent, he did and said some things to me that I would never conceive of doing or saying to my own children. Not at all. But I don't have to, I can still have that. I can still hold on to that if I want to. I still know that in my heart, but I could accept the guy for who he was. And that's where we finally cleared away all the wreckage and we're able to reconnect with one another and have a strong bond and a loving relationship the last years of my dad's life. That is the only way that could have happened.
I have never heard anybody talk about AA as being a tool for recovering from anything. We're so trained to think about it as Alcoholics Anonymous, but it's so much more than that. There are tools there to help folks through the road have in life. And I have a feeling that not just this interview, but this book is going to help heal a lot of people. Did you find that after writing this book that your relationship with your own kids changed because of those sort of epiphanies that you might have had in the writing process?
Well, yeah, I mean, I had to talk to my kids a little bit about, what was in the book. I had to read to them because they figure prominently in it, particularly my teenage daughter. It became very clear to me that even though I had a very different relationship with them, I was much more involved in their lives. I had a much more balanced life because I didn't have the economic desperation that my father had. I had much more economic support, and I could afford to pursue a career and at the same time be attentive to my family. And also we were just, we came from the same milieu. I was born in sunny Southern California. So were my kids. I liked the stuff that they liked. I liked hanging out with them and going to hear music and, going to movies and watching TV together. We did all that together. And despite all these things that I did for my kid, I really bent over backwards to be a part of their lives. They still found reasons to hate me.
Really?
That's just a fact. I still had character defects that pissed them off. And, and I had to learn how to deal with them with some sense of patience, tolerance, and acceptance. but we always had the bond of love between us that I did not have with my dad. And that's why I think that I'm still close to my kids. We were able to work through a lot of this stuff. It's not easy. It doesn't always work. Not every relationship can be repaired. There's no doubt about that, but you always have to be hopeful. I always try to keep my side of the street clean. And I don't want to punish people. I'm always there. I always want my kids to know I'm present for them. I'm available to them. And I am present and I'm in the moment. Why? Because I'm sober. I'm sober. Living in the moment means everything to me. There's no time to waste. And I still have my own, foibles, my own shortcomings, my own character defects. And if my kids want to take my inventory occasionally and let me know about them, that's okay with me. I can handle it.
Oh, wow. Run, don't walk to go get this book. Again, it is called The Most Human, Reconciling with My Father, Leonard Nimoy, by Adam Nimoy. For folks that are looking for those universal lessons of recovery, for folks that understand the importance of emotional maturity in men, which I don't think we talk nearly enough about, this book is the beginning of an exceptional journey. I really thank you, Adam, for being so candid and for gifting us this book.
Dr. Quartelai, I just want to close by saying, as always, to you and your listeners, live long and prosper.
I love it. I love it. I love it. You've been listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
The audience
so much. I really appreciate it.
Thought-provoking, eye-opening, heart-rendering. This is where authentic voices meet powerful discussions on culture, community, and change. This is where Black voices matter. He's breaking boundaries, amplifying diverse perspectives, and tackling the issues that matter most to you. You're inside A More Perfect Union with Dr. Nii-Quartelai on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. A new eviction protection office has opened in South Los Angeles Crenshaw area. Black Mayor Karen Bass says the We Are LA program, launched in 2023, has helped over 105,000 people stay in their homes, with more than 1,000 already getting eviction defense at the new site.
Preventing the inflow of people on the street has been one of the greatest challenges.
The program is funded by the city, Measure ULA, and donations. Most of the Texas House Democrats who fled to block a GOP redistricting map they say will harm voters of color are expected to return this weekend after the special session ends Friday. Governor Greg Abbott plans to call another session immediately. And former New York Governor David Paterson is endorsing Black Mayor Eric Adams in the crowded NYC mayoral race, calling him the leader New Yorkers need for protection. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
It's a two-car crash in Culver City on the 405 southbound before Venice Boulevard. Over on the right shoulder, but traffic is slow from Wilshire Boulevard. Baldwin Park, we had trouble on the 10 eastbound past Baldwin Park Boulevard. It's another right shoulder crash, probably adding about 20 minutes to your drive. In Griffith Park, on the 134 westbound before the 5, a wreck is cleared from the roadway, left you slow from Brand Boulevard.
Attention 405 drivers. From 10 p.m. Friday, August 22nd to 5 a.m. Monday, August 25th, the 405 will be down to 3 lanes in both directions through Sepulveda Pass. Expect delays. Plan ahead, take alternate routes, or use public transit. Follow at Caltrans District 7 for updates.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
A federal appeals court in New York City ruled Thursday morning that the NFL can be put on trial for a civil lawsuit filed against the league for allegations of racial discrimination in the hiring process of black head coaches. The lawsuit was filed in 2022 by Minnesota Vikings defensive coordinator Brian Flores on behalf of black candidates who claimed unfair treatment in their pursuit of head coaching jobs. Flores' lawsuit includes the Denver Broncos, New York Giants, and Houston Texans. In 2022, Flores, the former head coach of the Miami Dolphins, was interviewed by the three teams but passed over for the job each time. When Flores interviewed with the Giants privately had already made the decision to hire current coach Brian Daboll. The Giants situation led to Flores' lawsuit. As the NFL approaches the 2025 season, only 5 of the 32 teams have a black head coach. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Give people what they want.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we aim to foster enlightening, sustainable, restorative dialogue, and we welcome unapologetically progressive viewpoints that empower fellow citizens. We are now accepting submissions for KBLA Talk 1580 guest editorials like this one.
With the KBLA Talk 1580 guest editorial, I'm Martin Gordon, chair of the Pasadena Community Coalition. Recently, I listened to a Tavis Smiley show conversation with James Farr. James said something that caught me off guard. Black Altadena is gone. My community is being murdered. I said murdered.
All you have to do is go to our website homepage at KBLA1580.com and click on the icon that says KBLA Guest Editorials to learn more about our editorial standards and content submission guidelines. As long as the topic aligns with our mission, we are happy to review your submission and consider it for broadcast. We can't make any promises, but we want to amplify progressive perspectives that are community-focused and solution-oriented. So go to KBLA1580.com right now to download all the information you need about our guest editorials. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Become a U.S. citizen with the help of the Los Angeles Public Library. Get free and confidential information on immigration and citizenship. Visit lapl.org/NAI to find your nearest library or call us at 213-228-7390. That's lapl.org/NAI or 213-228-7390 and start your path to becoming a U.S. citizen with the help of the Los Angeles Public Library. Call 213-228-7390 or visit lapl.org/NAI.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about. KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Worried about eviction? You have rights, and Stay Housed LA can help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between LA County, the City of Los Angeles, and local service providers. From Lancaster to Long Beach, we're here to help you with tenant education workshops, legal clinics, free legal services for eligible tenants, and online resources about tenant protection laws. Don't face eviction alone. Call our hotline at 1-888-694-0040. That's 1-888-694-0040. Or visit stayhousedla.org. Stay Housed LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their homes. Stay Housed LA, your rights, your home, our community. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hit me!
National news, the consequence, informed opinion, and analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai, joining you live in afternoon drive time from Washington, D.C. Really honored to have you all rolling with a brother. And in entertainment news, I don't know if you all heard about this, but Wendy Williams and her attorney called BS on these alleged test results. Wendy Williams' lawyer, is challenging the alleged test results that reportedly prove that she has dementia and aphasia, insisting that those that are spreading the claim are acting out of their self-interest. Her attorney, Joe Tacopina, he told TMZ that Wendy's leaked medical diagnosis is false. And he went on to say that it's, quotes, being spread by a party with a vested interest in keeping Wendy trapped under this excessive and restrictive guardianship. He added that the leak of the alleged diagnosis is a total violation of Wendy's rights as a human being. And her lawyer ended the statement saying that the critical questions are these. Where is the actual medical report supporting the leak? And who's the doctor that's willing to go under oath and face cross-examination by him so the truth can be exposed? That is the latest there. This is a very bizarre story to a lot of us, but to some folks, it may not be all that bizarre. Lots of issues around guardianship. And that brings me to the next headline I wanted to share with you, which is produced by ProPublica, where they're talking about how the New York governor's task force is calling on New York to bolster funding and oversight over guardianship. A very, very timely decision by Governor Hochul, not just for Wendy Williams, but for a lot of everyday people whose names we'll never know that are dealing with some of the madness related to guardianship. A task force appointed by New York Governor Kathy Hochul, they're recommending that the state spend at least $15 million per year and create a state-level oversight to bolster its troubled guardianship system, in which judges assign individuals or organizations to care for some 30,000 residents deemed incapable of looking after their own affairs. That's just in New York. 30,000 residents deemed incapable of looking after their own affairs. So if this is adopted, the plan would represent a major change in how the state government cares for some of the most vulnerable residents. New York, if you didn't know, they currently budget just $1 million to fund a guardianship hotline, and the legal arrangements receive little official oversight, with responsibility for people's well-being spread among the courts and nonprofit organizations, private lawyers, and companies. And so, you can kind of get a sense now of how easily things can run amok. You get a sense now of how, with very little oversight over folks that are guardians, that they can run roughshod and they can do what they want to do. And that's not always in the interest of who they're looking after. The policy proposal contained in the state's master plan for aging, it comes 3 years after Hochul issued an executive order creating a panel to map out the needs of New York's aging population and suggest how best to serve older adults. Now, the plan concludes that improving the guardianship system would offer outsized benefits and would not be overly difficult to achieve. For those of you that I've known for a long time, before I returned to the airwaves, that in the world of public affairs, I worked on a number of issues concerning older adults and seniors in our country. And so I know that this work is going to have an incredible impact if it's fully implemented. And one of the things that I'd like to see, and this wasn't mentioned in the article, but I'm curious as to what this means for other states. We know that America's aging. We're aging quick. And we can't just rely on New York to overhaul their guardianship system when there are other states that are moving at a glacial pace, if they're doing it at all. I mean, think about it. For a lot of folks, their parents, their grandparents, their loved ones may very likely live in a whole nother state. And so unless you move them to where you're at, right, what are those guardianship laws in the state where they're at versus the state that you're at? And so for all the members of Congress that are tapped in, that are listening to A More Perfect Union right now, big question as to what the federal government's going to do to support this. I mean, look, whether you are a Democrat, Republican, Independent, Green Party, decline to state, whatever political identification you have, we all get old. And when we get old, our needs change. And heaven forbid, if we ever found ourselves with a diagnosis similar to what Wendy Williams has allegedly been diagnosed with, dementia and aphasia, a diagnosis that would require some sort of additional support, don't we want to know that our elected leaders have thought about this? That they have not just thought about it, but they voted on it. They have a plan, right? And whatever resource they have is fully funded. One of the things I worry about in light of the so-called Big Beautiful Bill, which so many of our leaders, learners, and listeners really think about as that big, ugly nightmare. What does this mean for our fellow Americans that depend on Medicaid? You know, you've heard me talk about Miss Heidi. In fact, I was just talking about her yesterday on air. And I talk about Miss Heidi, who spoke at a organized action organized by Repairers of the Breach, Reverend William Barber's organization. Right before that so-called Big Beautiful Bill, AKA Big Ugly Nightmare, right before that was passed, there were a number of impacted individuals that spoke. And one of them I will never forget, Miss Heidi, a public school teacher right here in Washington, D.C., that also happens to be disabled. And Miss Heidi talked about how important her home health aides were in terms of being able to get her up and get her ready so she can go to work and so she can be in community. And so we don't quite know yet how these cuts to Medicaid, an estimated $900 billion in cuts to the Medicaid system, we don't know how that's going to hit the home health aid workers. We don't know what effect that's going to have for the folks that are in guardianship or need supportive services while they're in guardianship. We don't know that yet. And so I share this with you because this story is so much bigger than just the latest Wendy Williams headline. And, God bless Wendy Williams and her family, because it sounds like they have been through a lot. And as much as has been reported, my suspicion is that there's so much more to the story that we probably don't know and maybe shouldn't know. But don't you want to know that if you got a diagnosis that required guardianship, that when you are in your greatest moment of need, you won't find yourself being more vulnerable? I certainly wish that for my loved ones. I wish that for everyone who can hear my voice, everyone who's tapped into the stream. So consider this food for thought. And if you are in the position to act, consider this a call to action. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. The quiet part out loud when we come forward.
Striving to make America a nation as good as its promise. This is A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Founded in Los Angeles in 1986, litigation powerhouse Quinn Emanuel has deep roots in the Los Angeles community. Since 2007, we have litigated some of the largest fires on the West Coast. We are proud to be the only AmLaw 100 firm in the country to represent wildfire victims, giving affected individuals, families, and businesses the same focus and individualized attention we devote to our Fortune 500 clients. BTI Consulting has repeatedly recognized Quinn Emanuel as among the 4 law firms in-house counsel least likely to oppose in any litigation, and we are often deemed the most feared. And after securing over $80 billion for our clients in various matters firm-wide, we understand why. If you have been affected by the recent wildfires in Altadena and the Palisades and would like to discuss your situation further, please contact wildfire support at QuinnEmanuel.com or call us at 213-443-3050. Quinn Emanuel is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Ready to order?
Yes.
We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything? Fire everything. The Capital One Saver card is at table 27 and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is on a mission to fight hunger and provide nutritious food to those in need across our community. They partner with federal, state, and local programs advocating for better policies and funding for critical hunger relief programs like Cal Fresh, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program. The food bank works with coalitions and local representatives to make sure hunger is addressed in every district of LA County. They also run nutrition education campaigns, raise hunger awareness, and source nutritious food for distribution, all while supporting regulations that allow food pantries to operate safely. Want to help? Visit lafoodbank.org or call 323-234-3030 to volunteer or find a food bank near you. Together, we can ensure that no one goes hungry in Los Angeles County. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio that's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Notable journalists, industry leaders, lawmakers, change makers, tastemakers, and you working to build a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. It's time for the quiet part out loud. But first, you might remember in our first hour when we were talking to Professor and author Dr. Calvin John Smiley, I had asked him a question about a news story that's been whipping up on the internet streets about DC Mayor Muriel Bowser, who is in Martha's Vineyard. She was here this week. She is right now, as I understand it, in Martha's Vineyard. We had talked about sort of the optics versus the politics of that choice. And while we've been on air, I noticed that Mayor Muriel Bowser has taken to social media. In her post, she says, quotes, "Friends, as you know, I'm both a mom and a mayor, raising a delightful 7-year-old on my own. This week, I canceled a scheduled family trip to lead our city's crisis management efforts. I also made the more difficult decision to not disrupt my daughter's camp plans. I needed to get her on Wednesday after work and bring her home, which I will do tomorrow. I'm in constant contact with my senior team and have been in constant consultation with our partners throughout a short swing out of the district." Signed, for Muriel. After we go off the air, it looks like Mayor Bowser is going to be joining Angela Rye, among others, for the State of the People exclusive. They're doing an exclusive entitled "The Attack on Black America." They have an exclusive interview with Mayor Muriel Bowser, the DC mayor. That will begin at 9 p.m. Eastern. You can visit State of the People. That's stateofthepPL.com/live stream to join the live stream for this exclusive conversation about what's happening here in DC as federal power moves to silence DC. Mayor Bowser is going to be stepping up to speak truth in that conversation. And so if you want to tap in, you can do so by going to State of the People. That's stateofthepPL.com/live stream. Now, speaking of Martha's Vineyard, I don't know how many of y'all out there have purchased some of the Ralph Lauren swag. I know I saw a lot of the Ralph Lauren swag while I was on Martha's Vineyard, including friends of mine that are Morehouse alum, Spelman alum. They were really showing out. And look, if I went to Morehouse or Spelman, I might be showing out too. I'm just saying. But all of this buzz, all of this attention, it's not just directed at the Ralph Lauren Oak Bluff campaign, but the Gilded Age and Black affluence. New York Times is reporting that recent portrayals of the Black elite have shown the complexities that can come with representing class. According to the New York Times, their own Yola Mazizi, she writes that this summer, Ralph Lauren expanded the lens of its aspirational take on Americana with a collection inspired by the Black legacy of Oak Bluffs. It's a town on Martha's Vineyard that has historically been where the Black folks have lived and where we have convened, where we have gathered. If you've ever heard of the Inkwell is on the Oak Bluff side of Martha's Vineyard. If you haven't been, I absolutely recommend it. One of the things that they do on the Inkwell every morning from, I think it's 4th of July to Labor Day, every day, 7:30 p.m., Polar Bear. You see Black folks getting in the water, and it's part water aerobics, it's part meditation. It is a tradition that goes back almost 80 years on Martha's Vineyard. These are, sisters have been organizing this thing for a long time. I do it every trip to Martha's Vineyard. I've gone the past 4 or 5 years. And I do it once every trip. All you need to do is once, because that water can be cold. But it is a restoring experience, I found. And I always like to recruit new polar bears every time I go. And so shout out to some of the new recruits I recruited just last week. But it's worth noting that these, collegiate sweatshirts, the patchwork jackets, the coastal inspired attire, that whole line that was released in July is a piece of that represents portrayals of Black elite that have recently permeated the culture. The Metropolitan Museum of Art, y'all remember Superfine, Taylor and Black Style, that exhibition? Well, that was the basis of this year's Met Gala and had a section on respectability and fashioning the elite. And then everybody's talking about HBO's The Gilded Age in its 3rd season, which contrasts 2 fictional Black families, the Scotts, a newly wealthy family from Brooklyn, and the Kirklands, New Englanders who are even more entrenched in high society. Look, these projects, they've highlighted the social and economic divisions among Black Americans that have existed since at least the early to mid 19th century, when westward expansion and industrialization and the rise of tourism in America opened up new paths to education, riches, and visibility. And like the Met's exhibition examining dandyism and Black men's fashion as a form of cultural power, the Polo Ralph Lauren for Oak Bluffs line and the Gilded Age have started conversations about elitism and exclusion within the Black community. Online, some folks have praised Oak Bluffs collection ads, which feature a lot of beach scenes and impeccably dressed folks, and offers a vision of Black life that's not centered on hardship. Others saw the romanticized portrayals of Black vacationers in this rare enclave as out of touch. Now, this is what I'll say, and have said and will continue to say, that in my experience, Black folks are not a monolith. That we have a range of experiences across this country, a range of experiences across the African diaspora. And there's room for all of these experiences. We don't have to pick and choose. We don't have to assign any one experience as the lived experience, the only experience, the singular experience of Black people. We have range. And so when I read that in the New York Times, it was just another reminder to encourage folks to lean into that range, to lean into the rich legacy of imagination, to lean into the possibilities, to lean into abundance and not scarcity. That's all. That's what I felt compelled to pass along. Do with it what you will. But, let's not try and reduce the experience of Black people. Let's expand it. After all, that's what this show and that's what this station is about. I have to leave it there. My thanks to the entire village. Helps us produce a more perfect union each and every day. Our executive producer, Tavis Smiley. Our sound engineer, Brother Andy. Our show producers, Faraji, Art, and Journey. And to each and every one of you, our leaders, learners, and listeners, we thank you. We curate this show on the go with you in mind each and every day. Remember, don't panic, organize. Do what you can from where you are with what you have, but by all means, do something. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Corte. You've been listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.